Hey, I've just read about a case that to me epitomizes everything that's wrong with the Department of Work and Pensions and how legitimate claimants are treated in this country. So I want to emphasize this case is not unique. It's about a woman in Kent, a retired pub landlady, who, well, I'm going to read out the report. It's not very long, so please bear with me. A disabled woman's benefits were cut for 10 months after assessors cancelled her appointment, then penalised her for failing to turn up. Teresa Gill suffers from osteoarthritis, which prevents her from walking properly, and ocular migraines that cause temporary blindness. So these are fairly serious conditions. She was on a bus 5 minutes from a work capability assessment session when she received a voicemail telling her staff were running late and it would be rearranged. Days later, the 63-year-old received a letter asking why she did not attend the appointment in Canterbury. Despite providing proof, she was told by the Department of Work and Pensions that because she had failed to show without good reason, her entitlement to employment support allowance had ended. The income of the former pub manager from Birchington, Kent, was halved, forcing her to make food last longer and sign on to the job centre even though doctors said she was unfit to work. Mrs. Gill said they were calling me a liar. I don't know if it was utter incompetence or utter arrogance. I've worked hard all my life, but I'm no longer able to. She's won a legal battle to have 10 months' benefits reinstated after a tribunal judge took less than 5 minutes to find in her favour. Um, the University of Kent's Law Clinic took up her case after an earlier tribunal ruled the appointment could not have been cancelled. The clinic's Graham Teague said it was an example that all too frequent everyday injustice of the DWP. The DWP confirmed it had reinstated Mrs. Gill's benefits and backdated payments. They didn't offer any apology. Firstly, the tribunal judge. I was criticising judges recently. I gave this judge credit. Took 5 minutes to find common sense. Um, this case is disturbing, and it angers me. It really angers me. This woman should not have had to go through those 10 months of financial anxiety and torment and stress and insult. I just find it absolutely infuriating the behaviour of these DWP thugs. They may not be thugs in the sense of roughing people up in the street, but they are thugs in the sense of abusing power. I make no apology for calling them that. I am so sick of hearing of cases like this, and it is case after case after case. There was, if I typed this in because I'd read it in the newspaper, I typed it into Google some keywords, disabled woman Kent, because I couldn't remember her name, disabled woman Kent, benefits stopped. And another case came up, also in Kent, another woman, disabled woman. So this is something that is recurring far too often. And if it was a case of incompetence, that would be bad enough. But the point here is, and this is why I justify my usage of the word thugs, it's it's ideological cruelty. What these people do, what these useless, incompetent jobs worths do, is deliberately make people's lives hard because they have the power to do it. That is the actions of bullies. And as far as I'm concerned, I think well, I'll just get worked up and I don't want to lose the message here. The message is that this is happening far too much. And I believe that the Conservative Party are ideologically driven um, to punish the unemployed. They are ideologically driven by a survival of the fittest mindset. And it's been proven time and time and time again. So, I could write to a government minister, I could write to the DWP, and they'll say, oh, we regret this incident and uh, we are exist to provide people with help and help people get back into the workplace. They are condescending. They don't listen to complaints, and it is utterly infuriating. And this shouldn't be a left wing, right wing issue. Um, But I do think that those who are more to the right, this is one area where I think they are just dead wrong, in the sense that they have a total empathy deficit. Most conservative leaning people might say, oh, yeah, this case is bad, but then they'll put on blinkers and think that all claimants are dole scroungers. They don't realize that actually most claimants are like this woman, legitimate. Yes, you get people who abuse the system, but this sort of case is happening far too much, and it disgusts me to the core. It's a way of bullying and targeting society's most vulnerable people. Um, and it sickens me. We have to be a compassionate society. That's one aspect about being a developed, progressive country. And this is one area where I think we've a long way to go, because the way that disabled people in particular are treated in this country is shameful. It's absolutely shameful. The Tories haven't done anywhere near enough to improve this. Um, and like I say, this woman's experience is far from unique. I personally know people who have been through similar things. I mean, the degrading way that they talk down to people and they automatically assume that people are liars. It's a disgrace. It's totally unprofessional, and it's a complete abuse of power. I want to know, are these officials going to be sacked for? I read another source that actually it's against the rules for them to do that. Just cancel an appointment. And it's the double standards that is utterly infuriating, that these absolutely useless jobs worths let people down like this and gamble with people's lives, because that is what they're doing. And it is so utterly infuriating. If I ever get into politics, if I ever become an MP, I will definitely be making this one of my priorities, because it affects many people in this country. And I think, to be fair, probably people are more open minded than in the recent past, because so many of these cases have been exposed. But there are still a lot of people out there who basically think, oh, everyone who is claiming is a lazy dole scrounger, and they totally ignore cases like this. This woman done nothing wrong, nothing wrong. She's worked hard her whole life. She's disabled, she's developed these conditions that are genuinely debilitating conditions. The DWP is treating her like a criminal when they made the mistake. It's not good enough reinstating the money that she lost in that time. They should apologize to her unreservedly. They should beg for forgiveness, because it's not just about the money aspect, it's about the degrading way that they treat people. And if you think I'm exaggerating, this has literally driven people over the edge. It's driven people to suicide. There's no single figure available for how many suicides have been attributed to these work capability assessments, but I would imagine it's lots, because there's so many cases like this, and it is infuriating. It's good that she's won the case, and credit to her legal team for working hard to help her to win the case, but it shouldn't have happened in the first place. And it's not unique. Like I say, this happens way too much. So I'll leave it there. There was an article in the Daily Mirror, not the one I read. I read the article from the Metro. Anyway, I'll put a link to the case. Sadly, it's not unique, and the DWP is a complete disgrace. They need to overhaul this. There was a member who spoke in the Prime Minister's questions the other day, a member of the SNP, a party I don't often agree with. However, he made a fair point, which is that universal credit may be Theresa May's poll tax. That is to say that this system, as it stands, is not fit for purpose. It is letting people down. It's treating people like dirt. It's putting people through emotional hell, and it's gambling with people's lives. The Prime Minister and her party repeatedly say it's designed to make things easier. We'll tell that to Mrs. Gale. I mean, and if this was an isolated case, that would be one thing, but it's not. That is the point. This is happening to a lot of people a lot of the time. And it's just, it's putting people in a position and they can't fight back. This is a David and Goliath situation. If you know anything about the job centre, anyone who does stand up for themselves is then blamed, and they're told that they're troublemakers, that they're being aggressive. These useless jobs worths, many of them that work in the job centre, not absolutely everyone, there are a few decent people, But there's far too many people that get into this line of work. They're sociopaths, they're bullies, and they're utterly thick. They can't work out basic empathy. They cannot work out common sense. So I hope those employees who deliberately were cancelled as appointment, I hope they get reprimanded. And as far as I'm concerned, it's not good enough just compensating her. They should apologize. Apologize. It's absolutely infuriating, and this happens way too much. And it is a disgrace. In a developed country in the year 2017, this should not be happening. I'm very angry. And I would appeal to any of my conservative leaning viewers, please, even if you don't agree with every aspect of the welfare system, please at least recognize this is wrong, that punishing someone for something that is not their fault is wrong.